only other thing I can say is, I said it before, but I think I get more blessings than I deserve. I got my reconfigured heart, and I got probably more days to live, God willing, and a lot more energy now than I had before. And you know what my big prayer now is that I don't squander it, that I don't just work more or something like that, or that I do something good with it. And I'll just leave you with a story that's kind of amusing, I guess. So I lived a lot of my life in Las Vegas, several decades there. I have older sons that I raised there and everything. And there were years I was in this house there, and I was working crazy hours. I was building a business. I was working 80, 100-hour weeks, which is, if you think about what's 8 times 7, that's only 56, right? If you're working, so I was working crazy hours and not doing. And so one of the things that grows well in the desert are roses, And so in front of my house, I had a gardener, that would help me out. And I was coming home one day, and the gardener was in the garden there, and said, and I noticed under my windows in the front of my house, I had these beautiful roses growing. And I said, hey, when did you put those in? He stopped, he looked at me, he says, Bart, they've been there at least 8 years. Never seen. So you know what I did, right? I went down and smelled them. Smelled the roses.
That's a nice story.
Very nice.
So that's a good. That was a lesson.
Wake up.
Yeah.
And also coming back, when I got diagnosed with this condition that I had several years ago, cardiologist, he looks at me and he says, I'm one of these overachievers, I'd be working hard and all that, and I love my work is why. And he said, he looks at me and he says, Bart, come and look at this. He shows me the film of my heart, the echocardiogram of my heart. He says, Bart, you've heard of athletes that just drop dead on the field, young. He says, that's the condition you have. He says, you got to stop exercising, retire if you can, and get rid of all the stress in your life while we figure out what's going on. So that was a very long walk home, and it's like turning the Titanic, so when you're pushing that hard and all of a sudden you got to bring it to a stop, it's much harder than anyone thinks, but I was able to slow down, not to the degree that he said, but were able to eliminate that I'm not at risk of just dropping dead and all that, but they had me on a lot of medicine and that. So those were kind of 2 lessons that I learned, and that's why that's probably what's behind this thing. I don't want to squander all this extra time that I got and those things. So and I'm certainly not squandering the time now. I really appreciate everybody coming. Very kind of all of you and all your good wishes while I was ill. I think if you have competent physicians and you have lots of prayers and good wishes, that's a pretty tough combination to beat. So thank you very much.
You've got dozens of roses. Take time to smell the roses, darling. Take time to smell the roses. Now you surround. Yes. And at work they call me the rose lady. I've got people who work with me